Make no mistake, belly fat is a symptom of menopause, and in this video I'm going to get into the 3 best ways to torch belly fat fast. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you, if you're a woman over 40 or like me over 50, get in amazing shape. But one of the things that completely prevents us from doing that is having belly fat. And I had belly fat and I found it extremely hard to get rid of at first because I just simply didn't have the right strategies in place. And so I'm really passionate about sharing that with other women my age so you can understand exactly what to do. And when you got the right strategies, this stuff actually works. And what's really amazing about it is you can reduce your belly fat and you can keep it off for good. But first of all, I'm going to talk about why we get belly fat, because there's a lot of influencers who talk about the kind of exercise really that gets rid of belly fat, and they do all these ab exercises and they 6-pack abs and they say this is how you get it, and actually that is completely wrong. And if you understand why you are getting belly fat, then you understand why they're wrong. So when you go into menopause, one of the things that starts happening is your estrogen starts depleting, and this can happen as early as in your early 40s and even perhaps your late 30s. What's happening is you've got lower levels of estrogen and your body then tries to produce more estrogen, and so in doing that your body makes more fat and it typically sits around your midsection. The second thing that's happening is you're actually losing muscle mass at a rate of 1% per year over the age of 40, and muscle actually is the thing that gives you metabolism. So the less muscle you've got, the slower your metabolism's going to be, and that's going to result in your body storing more fat, and again it typically sits around your midsection. So even if you're not that heavy, you can get this kind of skinny fat where you've got a lot of fat around your midsection, but generally over the rest of your body you haven't got fat, and that's exactly what happened to me. Thirdly, you can develop insulin resistance at this time in life. It's really prevalent anyway overall in Western countries. Scientists believe that 80% of Americans are walking around with insulin resistance. But guess what? When you're approaching and going through menopause, you're much more prone to insulin resistance, and that's when your body can't control your blood sugar levels, amongst many other things, many other modern day diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease. Is also going to result in you gaining body fat around your midsection if you are insulin resistant. The other 2 things that play a key role in why you have belly fat around your midsection is actually to do with stress and to do with lack of sleep. So I'm going to talk about stress to start off with. Stress can lead to your hormones being out of whack. It can lead to changes in your T3 and T4 levels that control your thyroid, and your thyroid controls your metabolism. And stress can lead to insulin resistance. Stress can also wreak havoc with your cortisol, and your cortisol levels is the hormones that control your fight or flight response, and we've got too much of that raging around in our bodies when we're stressed, and so that again causes you to put on fat and put it on around your midsection. And by the way, it makes it very difficult to lose fat when you've got high levels of stress. And then sleep, which is obviously there's a big connection, isn't there? Because if you're stressed, you can't sleep. Sleep can also result in insulin resistance. Sleep wreaks havoc with your hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin. So you can actually find that that leads to sugar and carbohydrate cravings, which obviously is not helpful when you're trying to lose belly fat. So, number one, the thing that you need to get on top of when you're trying to lose belly fat is your stress levels. So that might be quite surprising, because you may have thought that this was going to start with diet and exercise and tons of sit-ups, but actually if you're highly stressed, you need to look at stress management techniques, relaxation techniques, letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore, seeking professional help if you've got really high stress levels. And I would suggest to you, if your stress levels are really high, there is no point in going down the route of diet and exercise if you are completely stressed, because the chances are your cortisol levels are going to be high, and so it's going to be really hard to lose belly fat. The second thing I'm going to talk about is sleep. And of course, sleep is really hard to come by when you're a menopausal woman, and I know because I've had quite a lot of difficulty over the last kind of 3 to 5 years at times getting sleep, but it does require you to be intentional about sleep. So that's what I am. I'm completely intentional about having a proper sleep routine. That means getting up and going to bed at the same time every day, if you can do. If you work shifts, of course, that's going to be more difficult. It's about having a set bedtime routine, a winding down routine where you lose technology at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep. It's making your bedroom a calming environment so that you don't have too many distractions when you are trying to get off to sleep. And it could be looking at supplementation. So supplementation like ashwagandha, L-theanine and magnesium, just as a starter, can be really helpful. You may also want to go down the route of supplements like melatonin, which if you're having a really difficult period of sleep and you need something just to kind of get you back onto the routine, that can be really helpful. The third best thing to get rid of belly fat, and notice there is not a sit-up in sight, and that is your nutrition. So I'm going to talk about it, but when you think about your hormone health and everything that's going on with your hormones, you really need to get on top of that in order to reduce belly fat. And so one of the first things is actually to address your gut health. If you've got problems with your gut, problems with digestion, maybe problems with bloating when you're eating certain types of food, it's really going to make a difference when it comes to belly fat, getting on top of your gut health. So methods you can use are taking a probiotic, taking a digestive enzyme, so they're really good supplements. Also looking at fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, some types of yogurt, kefir are just some of them, so they can really aid your digestion. And then if you know that you've got foods that are causing disruption to your gut health, you do need to cut them out altogether. Common types of foods that can cause inflammation and problems with your gut health can be dairy, for example, beans. And some women have a specific problem with gluten, and they find that that causes lots of inflammation in their bodies. Other foods that you want to avoid, which can be really problematic for your gut health, are ultra processed foods. So anything that has a really long list of ingredients, you want to be avoiding that. And then refined sugar is another one. I know I have a real problem if I eat refined sugar, which I normally don't, but if I do find I have a time where I'm eating a dessert or something like that, you know, my gut can feel off for a couple of days after I really pay the price. The other one is trans fats. So you want to be avoiding that and going for natural types of fats, whether it's animal fats like butter or goose fat is okay, and then things like olive oil, but not those trans fats because they're processed foods and they can wreak havoc with your gut. And white flour can be another one that can cause problems with your gut. So it's always better to go for whole grains if you possibly can. The other thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to reducing belly fat, and that's to start to incorporate high protein eating. And I've made a video all about how to eat for fat loss, and I'm going to link it here. I'm also going to link it in the description, but it takes you through a kind of step-by-step process on how to kind of implement the right amount of protein, the right calories, and if you follow that, I promise you, you're going to lose inches off your waist, and almost in a matter of a couple of weeks. Most people find if they're following this, if they're reducing their stress levels, they're getting a good night's sleep, and they're following the correct nutrition, it's really going to help with belly fat. You're going to notice inch loss off your waist in a matter of 1 to 3 weeks. And of course, just as a side note, I always say, and you know, these are not the 3 best ways to lose belly fat, because it's like a 4th way, a bonus way, I suppose you could describe it as, and that's incorporating strength training. And it's not necessary to just do tons and tons of sit-ups, tons and tons of core and ab work, because that's just like any other muscle in your body. You want to be working it the same as you would any other muscle on your body. And so actually, when you're doing strength training, what's happening with any kind of movement, so it's like your squats, your deadlifts, your push movements, your pull movements, you're actually going to be working your core anyway. So you don't have to isolate your core that often. I only work my core once or twice a week, specifically my core. That is it. And doing tons of sit-ups, it's not really going to make any inroads on belly fat. But if you do those, what happens as you reduce your body fat, you are going to find that you reveal a better shape on your midsection. So I will link a video up here that tells you all about strength training and another video about nutrition, so you can get into more detail about that, and it's really going to help you reduce your belly fat.